Okay, so we have here raw umber and titanium buff. So what we're going to do is we're going to work on the stone and on the pathway behind the fence and in front of the fence. Just the first layer. Maybe we can finish it today, actually. But I like to just put the colors first before, because we still have to work on the back, on the house. We're not done yet, but we're just putting colors right now and getting rid of the color on the canvas. Okay, let's take some titanium buff, put in raw umber, medium tone, doesn't have to be too dark. And I'm just going to paint random. So sometimes I would go darker, sometimes lighter. Don't paint the same value everywhere. Don't forget that we still have to do the grass behind. Behind the fence. So sometimes I pick up more of the raw umber, and I'm doing more like a crisscross or in different directions. It doesn't have to be a specific pattern. Once we start highlighting, we will add different colors in there. We'll add a bit of ultramarine violet with the browns and some burnt sienna. But for now, this is just first layer. And it's good that I'm using a smaller brush because it's giving me a hint of a texture in there. And this will be easier for me when I start adding the stone. Let's do this one.
Is the grass ready on yours?
No. That was just the first layer.
Okay.
That's perfect. Don't need more than that. Now, I'm going to take a smaller brush and I'll use a round one. maybe more control with a round one. Yes. Doesn't have to be a good one. And I'm going to do the same for the path. I'm going to start from here. And we're going to go behind all of the, what are they called? Fence. Behind the fence. I'm going to pause and we'll just work on this. There's no need to record this part. Okay. So let's continue. So there's not a big difference between the pathway and the walls. In terms of texture and color, it's kind of the same. The more detail we put in the front, the more it's going to take away from the background, which is the house. So we want to be careful how much detail and how dark our colors are. It's good that we do this first because we want to see how the how dark the color is going to go.
And that pathway, is that the same color as the wall?
Yeah, same color.
Slightly lighter because the sun hits more.
Yeah.
On the wall.
Yes, right? Yes. I'm going to highlight the pathway a little bit more in a minute. And when we're going to put the stone, the little pebbles as well on top, so it will look lighter. Okay. This is a good start. It gives me as well a good idea how the whole thing looks together. Good, good, good. It looks good. All right. Now, I'm going to start again from the back. Okay, I'll give you, do you want me to give you a couple of minutes?
Yes, please.
Okay.
So this is more with the titanium buff than the umber, right? Because my path is pretty light.
Okay, then yes. You have to gauge if your path is light, then you want to put a bit darker, right? So you can see them. Is that what your what was your that
well,
was?
my path is a bit dark, is not as dark as yours maybe.
Okay.
I should have made it darker. Maybe
it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. As long as you can see some pebbles. So change your value so you can see the pebbles. That's you can see this kind of movement or pattern or little kind of dots. If you can see them over the background you have, then you're fine.
Okay.
I mean, the most important thing is not to make them too specific. They shouldn't, because they take over. Like kind of a hint of something happening in the back. And I'm now kind of going over some to kind of tone them down a bit.
It should be different sizes as well.
Yeah. It's a hint, so it doesn't matter. Yes, it doesn't hint. Just a hint, faint hint of what's happening. Actually, in the picture, in the reference, it's a bit strange because the pebbles behind the fence in the back are different from the one in the front. So
yes.
I don't know. I don't know what's happening in there, but it doesn't matter. Honestly, by the time we put the fence and the rest of the walls and everything, you can hardly see. You're not going to see this. So now, I'll give you some time to do this, and then we're going to move on to highlighting the path. Okay, making it a little bit lighter than what we have right now. It's a bit, it looks too light in the video. Hold on. I'm just going to try to minimize. Okay, that's better. Okay.
And there's the shadow of the fence too, huh?
Yeah, I'm trying to leave some shadow of the fence, but if it's not enough, I'll do it after. When I put the fence, I'll put some shadow at the bottom. I'll glaze some shadow at the bottom. You're right. Yeah, I saw it, but yeah, this is.
That's what brings it out.
That's true. So I'm putting a first layer where, you see dark lights. Some areas are lighter than areas. Some areas are darker in the same path. And then I'm going to put the stone over that, or the pebbles over this. I'm glad it's not a, it's kind of, it's not that fancy the way they've done it. The walls are not, they're not straight. It's like organic. It's nice. I like it. It's a real feel of a cottage. All right, here we go. That's good.
I'd like to stay there. Beautiful.
It is. All right.
The closer you are to the
Bottom?
front, yeah, the bigger the stones, huh?
Yep. That's going to be the challenge. All right, I'm going to pause and then we'll start working on the stones. All right, now let's do the stone or the pebbles or whatever they are, the little on the pathway. I'm going to go mid-tone. So usually what I do is I try to kind of test. This one was a mistake, but I'm keeping it. Looks good. That one going across that way. Doesn't matter. So it's the right color, kind of. We don't want it to be too light, but I am going to put a couple inside. I'm going to highlight just a couple so it doesn't look like it's strong cut between the front of the gate and the back. I'm kind of keeping my paint not too thick, more like not a glaze, in between. And if, I let it dry, and if I find that these are too strong, the brush strokes I'm putting right now, if I find that if I see that they're too strong, then I'll go over and tone them down. But I like to first see how I like first to let it dry, let the paint dry, and then we'll take it from there. So it's random. Try not to kind of go in an oval shape, because if you go straight, if you do this more like this, oh, you can't see it. All right. If you go with the shape, if you don't do it on an oval kind of movement, it will look odd. It's not going to work. So it needs to be, it will look too flat. Different sizes. Don't use the same size everywhere. Let's try a bit of a brownish color. That's too brown. Can hardly see it. And try to, when you're doing this, try to kind of put some of these stones, don't put them all away from, don't avoid that line. Put some underneath, like this. They look more natural. So if you keep avoiding the line, that looks a bit too organized. I'm going to start kind of making some of them a little bigger because we're coming forward. But you see still my lines are still kind of on an angle, more like an oval. I don't have any of these stones full shape. Full shape meaning, I should explain what I'm trying to say properly. Try to find, voila. Right. So this is what I'm doing. And then I just make a variation of the stone shape, and it's still kind of squished kind of stone instead of this. See, this is full. You are seeing the stone from full size, from different angle, like bird's eye view. This is kind of you're down and you're seeing the stone. And the more you go back, the flatter this stone is going to look. That what gives it a look of depth. And they come, you see? It goes in, right? So the more you flatten it, the more you push it back. So this is kind of medium, not too flat, not too kind of thin like this, and not too flat like this one here. So this is kind of in between, right there. But you can see from here, you can see that looks like it's going in. It's very, it's a trick of the eye.
Trompe-l'œil.
Yeah, trompe-l'œil. Trompe-l'œil.
In Malta, we've got the dome of a cathedral. There's no dome at all. It's just a painting, the trompe-l'œil.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable.
Yes. I think I've seen that. In Rome, right?
No, Malta.
Oh, Malta. Oh.
It's from late medieval times, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Or the Baroque, I guess. I don't know.
Excuse me. Right, so some of them are a bit not as strong as the others, and some of them are strong. So you don't want them all to look the same, and you don't want them to take over as well. The reason I like them, I'm keeping them kind of in a faded color, not too strong. It's just because I don't want this to be the focal point. All right. A little bit more of this in here, a couple. And just highlighting a couple. Gives it a bit of a variation in the value. All right. So now for the wall, I'm going to use the same colors, raw umber, titanium buff, and I'm adding yellow ochre or yellow oxide, ultramarine violet, and a bit of burnt sienna. So I'm going to take the same colors I was using before and kind of highlight them a bit. So I'm going to go, this is a dark value, I'm going to go a little bit lighter, mid-tone, and I'm adding a tiny bit of yellow in there, yellow ochre or yellow oxide. And I'm just going to go in, and the reason I'm doing this is just because it's nice to see the yellow. It will connect with the background, with the yellow in the background, the house. So let's see, let's go from here, okay? Yeah, that's not bad. Let's just go a little bit darker. I like to jump slowly into highlights. And what I'm going to be doing is random brush stroke. So what I'm trying to do is build up texture. To build up texture, I'm going to need to start with a dark, medium, light. So if I go straight to light, I don't have room for building the texture and the value, because I need mid-tone. So when I take a little bit of more of the titanium buff and I put it on top, I can see it then. And it's not going to be, there's a big difference between putting this color, which is the highlight color, kind of highlight, yeah, I don't think we're going to go more than this over mid-tone instead of this same over dark. See the difference? Mm-hmm. This is exactly the same color. That's the same value. This one and this one, the same value. One is over dark and one is over mid-tone. So over the mid-tone, it will blend in nicely, better, because you don't want the wall to look too busy. And the only way not to make it not busy is to build it up slowly. Build up the texture and the value slowly. And it doesn't have to be exactly the same value every time. But if I find, if I go, I'm doing this and I find that I'm going into strong value, right? Like high, light value, I darken it a bit. And change when you look at the wall itself, it's a bunch of different textures, and it's nothing is specific in there. But what we need to keep in mind, that this wall turns, it's rounded, so this part needs to be darker than this part right here. This is highlighted more than this, so I don't want to highlight this part too much because it will come forward. And actually, where there's a darker kind of value, I'm going to put a bit of ultramarine violet. You can mix your ultramarine violet with your yellow ochre and put a bit of yeah, that's good. Bit of titanium buff.
See you next week, Leo.
See you next week. Bye, John.
Bye, John.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Right.
I'm getting now mush because I'm putting layering over and over, so I should be careful. Or do it this way with the corner of your brush. Dab your texture on. I just added a tiny bit of burnt sienna. Because I can see brick in there. The brick is kind of a burnt sienna. And it's nice to see the red in there too. No. Okay, I'm going to go over this. This is not the final. The good thing about this project or this wall that we're doing, whatever you get is fine. There's nothing specific in there. So after I do all of this, these layers, I will come back and put a shape of here and there, shape of stone over this mush. Okay, when you go down, put a bit of ultramarine violet with your color, because it's nicer to see the bottom part. It's nicer if the bottom part is a bit darker than the rest of the wall. All right, so I'm coming to this part where I have a little bit more of a highlight in here, because the wall turns around. It's kind of bulging here. I'm going to take a little bit of the raw umber, put some ultramarine in it, and I'm just going to come here and add just a bit of darks. That's actually too much of the ultramarine. I know I can see it's actually, I'm going to change my brush. The brush is too big. I can see a little bit of darks here and there, which is nice, but at the same time I don't want them to be too strong, so I'm going to go in and add this texture. And you'll see in a minute what I'm going to do over this. I'm just darkening a bit part of the wall. Using any medium, fiber paste or anything like that will kind of help with this kind of texture. Maybe I should go to, I'm finding that my brush is a bit wide, but let's see again. Let's try again. At this point, I'm going to start defining some of these, because all of the work is done now at the bottom. I have some texture, I have light, dark, I have kind of different shapes, or not shapes actually, you know, just textured in there. So now what I'm going to do is go over with my paint and create shapes of stone here and there. A hint. So now when I'm putting this kind of texture, even though it looks like, you know, I'm trying to make it look like stone, it's not overwhelming, it's not strong. It's there, it's kind of textured in there, and it's looks like not even, which is great. This is exactly what I want. I want it to be there. I want this texture to be there, but I don't want it to take over. Change your color from time to time. You don't want to use the same color all over. These are stones or material that's just, they use anything they have. Wait for it to dry, and then I add a bit of, you know, change my value a bit, maybe stronger value, lighter, darker, depends. Perfect. Don't need more than that. This is perfect. Sometimes I turn my brush around, use the corner, put a dot here, dot there. Oh, that's too strong. Let's wait for it to dry.
These parts you're using the ochre and the the yellow ochre and the titanium.
Yeah. It has a bit of yellow ochre in there. Sometimes I'm like now I'm going to pick up a bit of ultramarine violet because I want to put it here in this corner where it's a bit darker. So if I want a darker color, I'll pick up ultramarine violet in here with my color, with whatever I'm using. Let's say I'm using burnt umber. I'll put, not burnt umber, raw umber. I'll put ultramarine violet in it because I want that to be in the shadow area. So ultramarine violet is perfect. If I want it to look more prominent or in the light area, I'll put yellow in it because it's warm. Cool in the shadow area and warm in the light area. Okay. Okay, let's not do too much here. Again, it's going to take over and it's going to take away from the house. So I don't want to go over this and to crowd, make it too crowded and too busy. This gives me the good idea. Enough for a nice kind of fence or a wall. Let's put a bit of red in here and there. It's nice. A bit of that's enough. I'm going to do the same with this wall on the left. This is going to be, this wall is going to be similar to the other one, but not as, I'm trying not to make it as light. Okay, now I'm going to go down to the bottom part, so I'm starting to add a bit of ultramarine violet in the color that I, in the color I'm using, which is raw umber, titanium buff, and yellow ochre. And as soon as I get to the bottom, I add ultramarine violet. You know, I'm going to do this because, yeah, around the wall at the bottom. Okay. Oh, I came across, I was going to show you this. Okay, I came across this. Look at the wall. It was very, kind of, no strong, there's nothing strong in there. No strong brushstroke like pattern. Look at this path. See the path?
Mm-hmm.
It's a kind of overlapping of different values. Very simple, very soft, but it's perfect. All right, so now that we have one more to go, but I'm just putting the colors first, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do. One more step. That's good. All right. This is drying. This is kind of dry already, so I'm going to go in and with the corner of my brush with titanium buff, add kind of a little bit of with the corner of the brush, a little bit of brush strokes here and there. Again, it gives it a bit of texture, more texture, because acrylic dries darker, it dries sometimes flat. If there's a lot of highlights, you will see flat areas where there's no texture at all. So I'm just playing with the values here and the texture. Some of them are big, some of them are small. Okay, it's good. Now, with a very small brush, round brush, not very small, just a round brush, I'm going to take I'm going to take raw umber, put some water, make it more kind of easy for the brush to move, kind of to slide. And I'm going to come here, wipe my brush. I'm going to come here and create a shape, a bit of a shape of kind of a stone. Separate them a bit from some of them so they don't look too washed. So now I'm creating tiny bit of depth in there, or texture. So now they're not completely flat like before. Before they looked completely flat, which is it's nice. I mean, it's very soft, and still we want to keep that softness. We don't want to. Again, the more lines you put in there, specific, strong lines, accurate, the more you're gonna make it look heavier and stronger. And so what we want is a hint of the stone, not a specific line going everywhere, dark line. Some of these lines I'm putting in there, or dots or brush strokes, are stronger, deeper, bigger, and some of them are just kind of a dot, or like just like that. Don't make it too heavy. So what I did, instead of starting my walls in a specific shape like this, with the dark around, what I did is I put shapes of layers of different values in different directions, and some changed my colors a bit, and then I put the in-between line. So it's the other way around. I define them, or I show the shape of a stone by putting just a bit of a different kind of a very soft line in between. See, now look at this. This is too strong. Here. And I can do this too. Here. I'm going to take raw umber, titanium buff, if I find that some lines are too heavy, too strong, I go over and I glaze the line a bit with a titanium buff and raw umber. Okay. I think that's enough. There. Okay, so this week we're going to stop here. We did the walls of the fence, the garden, and the pathway. Next week we'll continue probably working. We'll work on the house and put the first layer of the fence. Enjoy painting it. Painting that part. It's really nice. I enjoyed it.